On, guys? ChaseWins.com, Venture Sports Consulting, coming back with another free play video. As you guys have known over the past couple of weeks, I've been trying to primarily give you out underdogs on free plays, and they've been winning one after the other. We're just shy of 100% on our underdogs for the last 30 days. Every one of them, but I think two have won, not only outright, but in dominant fashion. We've been betting, we've been taking the points, we've been taking money lines. We have Miami Dolphins on the money line 2 Sundays ago at plus $1.75. Had a daily top play on the Ravens plus money on the money line this past Sunday for a nice easy win. So and we've given out 2 free play videos already this week. If you click the link in the description below, a video that I recorded on Monday. Was the weekly ROI and profit recap, and that's 2 weeks of that rolled into one video, along with an underdog play for a team that I think will win outright for Saturday college football. And right now, it is, excuse me, late Tuesday night, and I just posted that video. But then I've also got a video that I'm going to post first thing Wednesday morning, a video that I recorded early this morning that also gives 2 more free plays, one favorite, one underdog, both of them in college football. I'm going to do 2 free plays in this video, one NFL, one college. They both are favorites, but I think where there's a lot of misconception in the market right now where I think a lot of people are going to think the line might be slightly inflated based on last week's performance, but I think we're getting a lot of value, so we're going to talk about that. So make sure that you go back and watch the other 2 videos. Links in the description of this video below. Make sure you go to the website, check out all the promos and deals. I've got the description of all those in the other videos that I did, but to give you the cliff notes of it, the 1 month all access pass for $4.99, which gets you absolutely everything that we release on the site, every single premium, daily top play, every sport, every game of the week, game of the month, game of the year if there is one, and there is a chance there will be one this week. You get all that for no extra charge if you're an all-access member. Typically, we only do 1 year all-access. We ran a contest, which we do twice a year, to allow people to become a 1 year all-access member, usually for 50% off. This time, I'm doing it for over 75% off the normal price. And again, this will be the last 1 year all-access discount, promotion, contest, anything we run for 2020. And what it was we ran it a couple of weeks ago. We spent some time creating a spot for I told him it was 3 people, but we actually created 10 spots, and we actually only had about half those people come forward when we chose the names. Most of the people got back to us within an hour, and we got them set up. But we had some people that, one, reached out, said, hey, I want to be a part of it. They ended up winning and then not getting back to us, so we told them, it's over. Your shot at it is over. We're going to, and at first it was just going to be, you know what, forget it. We're not going to worry about it. But we spend this time creating this, and I love turning short-term clients into long-term clients, or long-term clients into even longer-term clients, because if you're already a 1 year all-access member, you can take advantage of this, and if you win, you can just get your next year for over 75% off. And as soon as your 1 year all-access membership expires, it starts right over again. So do not miss out on this. If you want to take advantage, I'm either going to do the drawing either first thing tomorrow or tomorrow night sometime, or first thing Thursday, and then you will be getting an email. If you email in your entry, all you have to do is send me an email, chase@chasewins.com, and say, hey, I know you're running the promo for the 1 year all access, big discount. I want to enter myself. And put your name there, and you're entered. And if you win, you'll get an email back saying, hey, you won, and this is how you take advantage. All of the proceeds are going to get donated to the We Are Sports Foundation, which is myself and my partner, Jerry Valdez. It's our sports foundation benefiting the youth and underprivileged communities. Big focus on minorities in sports and women in sports. And so it all goes to a good cause, and you get to take advantage of something that we just don't offer. If you want to enter through Twitter, you can DM me at PixChase. Send me a DM, same thing. Tell me you want to enter, and if you were to get chosen, you will get a DM back if you win, telling you how you can take advantage. So make sure you do that. College basketball starts in about 2 weeks. You can get usually it's $1,500 for the season. We're doing it for $1,000 for the season this year and this year only. But for this week, you can get it at $500, 50% off. You can do the same thing for NBA or get the combo pass. You'd spend $3,000 to get both seasons. Right now, you can get the NBA and NCAA basketball combo pass, and it's labeled combo pass for $999 for both of them. Everything's at chasewins.com. All this stuff ends this week. Again, 2 weeks before college basketball starts. December the 22nd is the start date for the NBA, and then we've got half price going on for college football and NFL the remainder of the seasons. And NHL early bird stuff will be out probably right around our Black Friday stuff. So we're not going to be doing a ton of Black Friday deals this year because we're running them early to let you take advantage and to get more bang for your buck, so on and so forth. So again, let's get into, and make sure you go watch the other videos to get to take advantage of the 3 plays that I've already given out this week. And let's jump on 2 plays right now. Let's first do the NFL Thursday night football. Let me double check this line. We have the Colts and the Titans going up. Colts traveling to Nashville. Let me see here what we've got. Give me just 1 second. I'm looking at my William Hill account now to see what we've got, just to make sure nothing has changed. Okay, so right now we've got the Titans laying a 1.5, money line at $1.25, plus $1.10 if you take the Indianapolis Colts, or you can get them at plus a 1.5, $1.10 each way on the spread. But here's what I see here. I see 2 teams that were overrated going into this year. The Titans, I think, have been the most overrated team in the NFL for the past 2 seasons. They kind of came out of nowhere last year, made it to the playoffs, and when they came in and they took down the Ravens, everybody was like, "Oh my God, look at Tennessee!" They came into this year. Everybody's talking about them potentially being a Super Bowl contender. Let's not kid ourselves, people. They were never a Super Bowl contender. I don't think they're going to be a Super Bowl contender. I don't think you're going to see the Titans compete for a Super Bowl in the next 5 seasons. There's just too many almost dynasties being created, which I think we will have somewhat of a dynasty, or at least the beginning stages of one with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that we're right there on the cuffs of potentially having one with the Ravens. I don't think that Bill Belichick has hung it up yet, and I do think he's got something up his sleeve to potentially get Trevor Lawrence. I mean, think about it. The Jets are a shoo-in to get Trevor Lawrence as the first overall pick, and I think that depending on where Bill Belichick ends up, because the season's not going well for him, even though they did squeak out a win with the last-second field goal against the Jets, look at where their season lies. Everybody still thinks that Cam Newton is done for, and I have stood behind him since after he lost the Super Bowl in 2016 to Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos. Cam Newton is a freak of nature and an athlete like no other, and I just don't think that Cam is going to hang it up without a ring. Now, will that ring be in Foxborough? I don't know. But what we have here is, I think that where Bill Belichick has always been the pocket passer guy. He wants the quarterback to play the quarterback position. You saw that with Bledsoe, and of course you saw it with the greatest of all time to ever do it in Tom Brady. And now, for the first time, you've got somebody that is a dual threat in Cam Newton. Now, how many times have I said that dual threat quarterbacks just aren't successful in the NFL? They never have been, and who knows if they ever will be. Do I think they will be eventually? Yes, because eventually that's all you're going to have, because that's all that's there in college now. You don't have Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady's and Drew Brees' coming out of college now. You have dual threats. Trevor Lawrence is going to be the closest thing you have to that in a long, long time, because even though he is a threat in college with his legs, the NFL is a completely different animal. And unless he's going to pack on 65 pounds of muscle in that lanky body of his, it's only going to take him getting hit one good time as a rookie for the coaches and the quarterbacks coaches and the head coach say, okay, you're not to use your legs because you're going to get yourself killed. You're a pocket passer. Where I think that Carson Wentz is the most overrated quarterback, and I think that Jalen Hurts could come in and do a world of wonders for Philadelphia. What I see happening is the Jets is somewhere that Trevor's not going to want to be, being a quarterback that just doesn't. Excuse me. Still getting over the sickness. That just doesn't lose in college, to go in and playing for a franchise that just can't win. And as good as Trevor is, might be one of the best quarterbacks that we've seen come out of college in recent years. I don't think it's going to be enough for him to take that from the team that it is to a team that's competitive and winning. What could happen, and what I've said since the beginning of the season, is Bill Belichick could weasel his way into figuring out a way to botching his own drafts for the next 3 years to figure out a way to get Trevor Lawrence and to still utilize Cam Newton. Trevor is a rookie. Cam will still be the starter. Trevor will go in when he needs to. He'll learn under Cam in certain situations, and he'll be there the one to take the reins and to take it for the long term. And they'll go out there and spend money to get people to back up people like Edelman and things like that. And then immediately they go from mediocre to back in contention for their division and potentially another title. And I think that when Belichick wins another title, he'll hang it up just to show he can do it without Brady. And that'll be when Lawrence takes over for the long haul. We'll see if somebody's smart enough to make sure that he stays there for his tenure. I mean, obviously, I think everybody knows that the Jets is where he'll end up unless somebody makes a move. And I think the only one smart enough to make it at this time, with what it's going to take, where it's going to help them, where it's going to hurt them, is Belichick. You would say Miami. I think Miami's all in on Tua, believe it or not. And if they're not, I don't have to wait too much longer. They can snag Tua's little brother, who is even better. And Miami's doing well. Miami's a contender, just like I said they would be. And I think we're a few years away from seeing Miami actually be a contender and somebody that could make the Super Bowl if the stars align for them. But again, getting back to the original topic, Tennessee is not one of those teams. They're not going to be one of those teams. I think that we saw the height of their success last year, and I don't think we see that much success out of them over the next 3 years. I think that it dwindles down more and more each year. You know, people ask, okay, do you trust Tannehill? Do you trust Marcus Mariota? All these guys that have come through Tennessee, well, do you trust them? Sure, Ryan Tannehill, I trust him, I guess. The thing is, I don't trust the coaching staff to let him do what he needs to do. Because if you watch him, he's not able to lead the team unless they're backed into a corner. So here's what we have in this game. Who's the better team? Is it Indianapolis or is it Tennessee? Are we going to go off of, the eye test? Are we going to go off of what we have on paper statistically? Either way you want to go, I say Indiana's the better team. I say Phillip Rivers is the better quarterback. But then you look at it as, who wants it more? I think Phillip Rivers wants it more, but I think Phillip Rivers, even years ago, made peace with the fact that he's not leaving this dominant legacy behind him. He's not going to leave the legacy of a champion. I think he's made peace with the fact that he may never be a champion. And I think that he went out with one last shot with the Colts because he knows that he doesn't have to go out there and work miracles to still be able to, to line up under center on Sundays, still get a paycheck. He's done, and we all know it. And I do think that the Indianapolis Colts will have something waiting in the wings after him. I think they got him as a buffer until they figure out what that is. Tennessee, on the other hand, is all hands on deck right now. Let's win where we can, because I think that even as naive as they are to their own success, really, I actually think they might have a shot at something, and they don't. But going into this matchup, even though I think the Colts are the better team, remember what I said just a second ago. When a team is backed into a corner is where you see how good a leaders the team actually has. Not on the sidelines, on the field. And what I'm primarily talking about is at the quarterback position. You know, Mike V, or whatever his nickname is now, thinks that he's hot shit. He's not a good play caller. And even though they gave him all the credit in the world for that win against the Ravens in the playoff, in the wild card against the Ravens last year, um, what has he really done? Let's go back and think of his tenure at Tennessee. What has he done? What has he done to make you say he's an elite football coach? He's a football coach that could be a champion. Name one thing and we'll have a discussion about it. But there really isn't anything. Yeah, you can listen to the media, but the media is the one also telling you that Bill Belichick can't win without Tom Brady and that Tom Brady can never win without Belichick. And right now, Bill Belichick's wheels are turning in his head at how he's going to win his next championship. And Tom Brady's in contention for a championship right here and now with a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So again, what has he done? Nothing. But if you go back and look, and this is one of the things that I've studied over this past week pretty hard, I've gone back and watched a lot of film on him and read a lot of write-ups. He doesn't tend to call or coach or lead when the team is getting killed, they're defeated, or their backs against the wall. He leaves it on the field because he doesn't like being the one that has to take the fall, take responsibility. Again, not very good traits of a leader if you ask me, but that's who he is. I'm sorry, it's just a fact. But if you go back and look to where Tennessee has their back against the wall, whether it be against a better team or a worse team, whether it be that they're down by 28 points or whether they're only down by 8 points and there's still plenty of time left, when their backs are against the wall and whatever he is doing or trying to do or his staff is orchestrating and trying to do, if it's not working, he basically hands the reins off to his quarterback, says, cross your fingers, let's go. That way he can place blame if it doesn't work. But if you go back and look, in those situations where they're not completely getting clobbered, Tennessee, more times than not, has been able to come out victorious. So here's the way I see this game playing out. Like I said, I think Indianapolis is the better team. But you have a quarterback in Phillip Rivers, and you have a team in Indianapolis that solely relies on its defense. Indianapolis has solely relied on its defense since, Peyton Manning left. And it's not a bad thing because Tennessee has also done that. So again, you could be looking at a low-scoring game, but I want you to look outside the box because everybody thinks this is going to be a low-scoring game. Primetime football games that you think are a no-brainer for low-scoring games end up being very high-scoring games. Read between the lines of what I'm saying here. But I think that with Tennessee, and I think with their playmakers that they have outside of their stud running back in Henry, they're not as one-dimensional as you think. They have things they can try. They have things they can do. They have chances they can take. And if it works, they are the team that could contend with anybody on any given day. But it's a flip of a coin, a 50-50 shot if it works. You don't have that with Indianapolis. Their defense has to keep them in every game. And then you have to rely on who? Phillip Rivers. Very one-dimensional. Love the guy. Think he's a very good quarterback. But he's very easily figured out. And there's been enough time in this NFL season where they have figured these teams out. They know what Phillip Rivers is going to try to do in whatever situation he's in. And they know what they're going up against in Indianapolis' defense. So can the receivers and the long ball, not relying on the run because Indianapolis will stop your run, can they let that long ball, can they let those receivers, and can they put their trust under center to get big plays? And if Indianapolis can't stop that, then Tennessee, all they really have to do is get to Rivers because they're going to run the ball. So if they can get to those backs and those tight ends and to Rivers and rattle them just a little bit, the home team will prevail here. The only way I don't see Tennessee winning is, number one, the long ball just doesn't work and they keep going for it and Henry just doesn't have it that night. And Indianapolis's defense shakes them from the very beginning. And by shakes them, I mean rattles them. They rattle them from the very beginning, and then Phillip Rivers is the one able to take that ball downfield a couple of times unexpectedly. Then yes, you see the dog come into Nissan Stadium and win the game outright. But in a game where I think that Indianapolis is the better team, but in this matchup you're almost dead even, who do you trust more right here and now to make the big yardage plays when it counts to win a close game? And right now, as much as I hate to say it, and even though I think Indianapolis is the better team, I think the line's accurate. I think that Tennessee's got the better chances of that happening. And I'm going to take Tennessee, but I'm not laying the points. I'm going to take a minus $1.25 on the money line. Right now, that is just a lean. I want to see what comes out over the next day to day and a half to see if that gets bumped up to a premium play. And if you're on a package, you will know that. Or what happens. But right now, I've already laid some fun money on Tennessee before anything changes, $1.25 on the money line to win at home. Now, it's number one. Second favorite I'm going to go with, and this is because the line opened up at 13.5. I would have taken it at 13.5, but it dropped down to 13. People are looking too much into this Florida-Georgia game, which I told you last week it was going to be high scoring and nobody believed me. I've told you since the beginning of the year that I thought that Florida was the better team. Even though I think Kirby Smart is the better he's the better football mind, I think the better coach, morale, getting the guys to buy in. I really think that this move from Mississippi State to Florida, where he should have been all along, everybody told me he'll never leave. He will never, ever leave Mississippi State. They'll give him everything in the kitchen sink. He's never, ever going to leave Mississippi State. Why would he? He's got it made. All he has to do is be a 500 team, and he's there forever. I'm telling you right now, that was the best move in the SEC over the last 5 years. And I think he wins a national championship. I said it. I said it last year, the end of the year. I said 3 years, Florida's playing for a national championship. Could be this year. Because they're going to play for the East. Unless they lose a game that they absolutely shouldn't, or two, Florida's playing Alabama in Atlanta this year for the SEC championship. But here's what we have here. Florida, better team all around, I think. Most certainly better offensively. Most certainly better under center. Defensively, Georgia's a better team. Georgia lost that game for themselves because they couldn't capitalize on a 14-0 lead. They also had a pick six at the right time. And they just never broke out of a slump. Every time they scored points, they just kind of laid back down. They did have some issues at quarterback. They played two quarterbacks on Saturday. Their starting quarterback went down with a little bit of shoulder after he got rocked one time. He ended up coming back in the second quarter, second half, and then ended up getting taken out permanently. So you had a quarterback trying to get adjusted with his back already against the wall. That's usually never a recipe for success, especially when you're talking about one of the biggest rivalries, not only in the SEC, but in college football alone. World's biggest cocktail party, Jacksonville, Florida, every year. Florida versus Georgia. Georgia, in that situation, was the better team. In that particular situation, they beat themselves, and Florida capitalized every single time out. But here's what I'm going to say about this. Because of that game, because of how many points they got beat by, people are now looking against Georgia. It's human nature for people to do so. It's the gambler's way. A team gets beat by a lot of points. Everybody thinks they're overrated now, and that now they're not as good as they were. No, they are. Georgia's a good football team. Kirby Smart is a hell of a coach. And I'm talking about, again, when we talk about coach, talk about morale, getting to buy into things. Yes, I do think that Florida takes the cake there. But when it comes to just pure football knowledge, just like I said that Lane Kiffin might be the best offensive mind in football, and I truly, truly believe he was the best offensive coordinator that Alabama has had under the Nick Saban era, I really do believe that Kirby Smart, between the years, is the best football mind that Georgia's ever had. Even though I love Mark Richt, Kirby just has some things that other coaches don't. Now you're going to play a Missouri team with a pissed off Georgia team, knowing that they need to run the table and pray to God that Florida takes two unexpected losses. That's their only way into Atlanta. It's their only way in, because even if Florida loses a game, Georgia's lost a game and the tiebreaker goes to Florida. So they have to have everything go their way on top of winning. But the way this season could go, it doesn't necessarily take them out of championship talk. So they know that they still have so much to play for. And going against Missouri, whose defense is much improved, and when they introduced Kelly Bryant to take over that team, then after Kelly Bryant, I think he kind of set the precedent for what Missouri is going to be in the coming years. You think that because of what happened to Georgia, they were exposed. Well, Georgia was exposed in areas that they typically don't even play in. So if Missouri thinks they're going to be able to use that game as their blueprint to success offensively against Georgia, they're wrong. Georgia never clamped down on Florida, not a single time. They're going to clamp down on Missouri, and they're going to have a much easier time doing it because Florida might be one of the most well-rounded offenses in college football. Truth be told, I think that as far as well-rounded offenses go, they're top three. I think it's Ohio State, Alabama, and then Florida. I don't think it's Clemson. I think they might have the best quarterback outside of Tua's little brother. But just well-rounded offenses, Florida's got it. Missouri doesn't. So it's going to be so much easier for Georgia to clamp down on them defensively. And then when you talk about on the offensive side of the ball, Georgia didn't follow their own game plan. Air it out when you need to, cram it down their throats, control the clock. They never once controlled the clock of that game. Much different situation when you're talking about Mizzou. So what you saw on Saturday against Florida was a Georgia team posing as someone that they're not. And when they kind of committed to it, they stuck with it. I'll give them that. And it exposed them for everything that they can't be. Everything that they are is who's going to take the field on Saturday. I broke this game down every way. I've got Georgia laying 17.5 points in most circumstances, giving Missouri every benefit of the doubt, and I'm talking every benefit of the doubt. I've still got them laying 15. 13.5 was a gift from God, because if it was at 14, you know what we'd do? We'd buy it down. But in situations where weather could be a factor with ground conditions, and we've noticed a lot of teams missing field goals recently. That's kind of been a trend that we've noticed over the past few weeks, that over the past 3 weeks in college football, more field goals inside 30 yards and more extra points have been missed than the past 2 full football seasons combined across the board. Now, I'm not saying that'll happen to Georgia. I'm not saying it'll happen to Missouri. Shouldn't happen in the SEC at all. But it's happened to every team thus far this year, and it's going to happen again. So being that it opened up at 13.5 shows you where the odds makers are thinking right now. And it's about all these missed extra points. So at 13.5, I probably still would have bought that, purchased that half point down. Because right now, I don't want to lay a hook. Not with the way things have gone the past 2 weeks with extra points and with what should be chip shot field goals. I love it at 13. I do not see a world where Georgia wins this game by less than 2 touchdowns. Truth be told, if Georgia doesn't win this game by 2 touchdowns, I see Missouri winning this game outright and Georgia packing it in for the season because they're done for. I'm serious. I'm dead. I'm serious as a heart attack. I think that Georgia, people are looking at this game going, oh, Georgia's not all they're cracked up to be, and they're overrated. They should have never been this. They should have never been that. And the reason they're thinking that is not just because they got beat by the margin of defeat they did against Florida, and that being usually a tightly contested rivalry with two teams that on paper are about evenly matched. Another reason that they are thinking that, and I'm telling you this, is because people are still not buying into how good Florida is. So they're thinking that, oh, Georgia just isn't that good because they got beat by a Florida team that's already overrated by as much as they did. No, Florida's not overrated. Florida's underrated, and the public needs to get on board. They need to realize to get their head out of their ass and realize that Florida is not only a top 5 team, they are a team that is good enough if everything happens in their favor based on matchups going forward outside of the regular season. This is a team that is good enough to win a national championship right here and right now. You might not want to believe me, but it's true. So they didn't get beat by an overrated team that got lucky. They got beat by a better offensive team that came out to play for 4 quarters and played their ball game and capitalized on the mistakes that Georgia made and refused to correct during that game. So Georgia got beat by a great football team. So you come out with a chip on your shoulder, you play your game, and that's going to show you that Georgia also isn't overrated. Florida wasn't overrated. And Georgia hung plenty of points on a team that could leave Missouri out to dry. Matter of fact, they pretty much did. Go back and look at, what was it, 49-17? That's the type of game I see this. It's the type of game it should be. I'm laying 13 with Georgia gladly. 13 and a half, I'd lay it. 14, I'd lay it. Hell, 15, I'd lay it. I always want to get into a situation where the prime numbers, your 3, 6, 7s, 10s, 14s, anything that games could end on because it's scoring margins. You always want to get out of that and get below it or above it depending on what side of the ball you're on. 13 and a half, I'd have gladly laid it, but because of the way extra points and chip shot field goals have gone, I'd have gotten it back down to a solid number, and I'm not laying a hook in this game. But at 13, laying $1.05, that's value all day long, and I'm taking the Georgia Bulldogs to redeem themselves in a rout. Georgia, minus 13, minus $1.05. That is your free premium play. We're also taking as a lean the Tennessee Titans on Thursday night, minus $1.25 on the money line. 2 more free plays for you. I'm going to do at least 1 more free play video for this week, and then we will get into some Sunday NFL action. Again, I'm still looking at a potential game of the year and even a potential game of the month. We could have a double dipper this weekend, guys. Jump on a package. Do not sit on the sidelines. Start making money and get with a service that does this for a living, not somebody that does it when they're on their lunch break at the factory. Love you guys, and I'll see you all in the winner's circle.